Okay. Mute. Mute. All right. So what's up? How's everybody doing today? All gassed up for the big showdown debate? It's like reality TV, politics. Yeah. Hopefully these conservatives and liberals, they can kill each other and wipe them both off the map, you know? So all us normal people, yeah, you gotta, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, the corona, this COVID thing, because of shortened seasons and injuries and all that, took the sting, the juice away out of sports for me a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather have it than not have it. But it just, I don't know, it hasn't felt right. But there's a lot of action. And especially if you want to put a couple shekels on the games every night to, spice it up a little bit, you definitely have a lot of action out there. Then the market, 9 to 5, you really lose your mind. All right, let's talk about what's going on here in the market. There's something really interesting out there in individual names, and we'll go through that. It's just it's weird how things are playing out, and I don't know if we're going to get a resolution prior to the election. Usually when you have that event, they usually waits for it, and then you'll see a reaction after it. But you got both the market and individual names really starting to set up interestingly here, okay? And it doesn't have to remain that way. Things can unravel for the worse a little bit, and we got to go through more of a process. But right where we are now, it's at a pivotal point, and we'll go through a lot of the names, and you can see what I'm talking about, all right? But let's start this way, okay? Let's rewind quickly to where we were and then talk about where we are, right? Where we are now and what we're seeing right now. And then we'll go into all the fun stuff. All right, so we got the yank, right? And we had a couple of things that were pretty noteworthy. One, once we got this pull from Pink Panther here, we had some bullish tactical sentiment into these lows, okay? And there were a couple nice squeezes. I think this might have been one of them. Quick squeezes off of it, okay? And then you had tactical sentiment, short-term sentiment go from bearish extreme back to neutral, and you got a little more selling and another leg lower, okay? And that led to this low, okay? And this was another low where you had tactical sentiment set up again, okay? And meaning, it's not just an indicator, the indicator showing us that players have been, traders, I should say, okay, short-term players have been getting, a little too excited as far as betting on either further downside over the short term or hedging or protecting. Again, short term stuff we're talking about here. All right. Over the intermediate term, it's kind of been out of the picture for a bit. We were hoping to make a little more headway here, but these rallies, it's not a big setback, but it's kind of a pause on the whole process. So it takes time. Remember, we were talking about from day one of this pullback, it's more of something that's going to be a period of time, and that's what's important rather than how deep of a pull we get. Okay. So what happened here, we had another setup similar to this. Okay. And from my experience, okay, forget this happened. All right. If we didn't see a sharp enough of a squeeze, okay, meaning if we didn't see sentiment go from bearish extreme to almost hot, above neutral, okay, a lot of times what that means is there are bigger forces at play, and this may turn into something stronger than just your run-of-the-mill pullback, okay? Because that's all it's been so far, okay? That's all it's been so far, all right? So this squeeze that we had here, the sentiment squeeze, came in the nick of time and did its job, okay? So we're seeing reactions to the short-term sentiment signals, right? That's telling us everything is going by the book, and there's nothing else to worry about yet, okay? So we still have that trade alive. And those of you who want to be selective as far as swing trading is concerned and want to wait for those better risk-reward setups, you want to start looking, right? This is what we've been talking about. You want to start looking here. Even if you start looking early into weakness and find a plan, find what you want to do. If you want to play ETFs for that snapback squeeze, or names, or see what the sweeper activity looks like, but you kind of want to be ready because this is where you get that juice, okay? Again, I hate to use the word easy, but that's where things get a little bit easier relative to what we're in right now, okay? Where the long side gets a little bit easier, all right? So what we've had, we've had 1, 2 textbook sentiment squeeze days, right? Yesterday was a strong one. A lot of names involved, a lot of juicy names involved. Some of the early names that were setting up and catching flow early in the process were some of the best movers out there and winners. The good thing is some of the names that have been lagging, right, that didn't participate in the rally. If you remember, we spoke about a name like AMD. Right? Flow found it, and boom, there's your snapback trade. Okay, so whether you play these things or not, based on sentiment, this is what you want to pay attention to, so you know what these things look like. Okay, next go around, right? So this AMD right here, this is textbook snapback play. You're buying it while it's dead, signs of sweeper activity coming in, right? It's been a laggard, so the sweeper activity tips you off that it's next, and boom, you get some strength. Okay, what you do from this point on is, is the difficult part. But you got to understand, when you're in a corrective phase like we are now, the longer you hold on to these things and the more you're looking for on the upside, the more risk you're taking on. Okay, so if you're willing to take that extra risk for that bigger reward, we're all big men and women, right? We can make our own decisions, but you can't complain that, the AMD hangs out around here, you don't pull it, and then all of a sudden, you get another headline, right? Corrections are known for that. Overnight, you get a headline, markets roll over, and chances are it's going to take AMD down with it. All right, and depending on what line you played, how far out you went, Some of you love weeklies. You know, for me, like weeklies, it's not even a question. I'm taking this without even thinking about it in weeklies, especially in this environment. You know, but if I wanted a decent entry on AMD off a pull, you know, and I've been waiting for it, what I would consider doing is maybe rolling a piece out further in time so I can survive another downdraft in the market. You know what I mean? But this is the textbook sentiment squeeze, and this is what I've been accustomed to. Like, this is my survival kit during corrective phases. Okay, this is all I will do, if anything, on the swing side during corrections. And then once we get other things to line up and this period plays itself out, that's when I open things up a little bit and start looking for more upside, and I'm willing to give things more time. You understand? So we're not in that right now. You can't play this game the same way each and every day, each and every week, each and every month. There's different environments, there's different climates, right? You got markets that sometimes they go straight up, markets that chop around and stay in a range, markets that sell off almost every day seemingly in liquidation mode. You can't approach every single market like that the same exact way, right? So you hear me use the term often. You got to have a playbook for each type of environment, right? So when you get into this environment, like right now, this is, to me, from what we're seeing now, I'm not trying to predict the future, from the evidence I have in front of me right now and the information of the sentiment indicators and sweeper activity, this is your run-of-the-mill correction, okay? And for me, my playbook is really selective on swings. I'm all looking short-term everything, and I want to key off snapback trades of sentiment, right? That's my playbook in this environment. So that's why, I continue to talk about it while we're in this, all right? So where are we now? Now we have sentiment has gone from favorable to now above neutral. We had, the squeezometer was a little bit toasty yesterday. Today helped that out a little bit. All right, so we don't have sentiment at our back anymore. We don't have that acid anymore, okay? So now, we focus on the sweeper activity and see if we can find some sort of edge, even if it's intraday, right? While the markets may chop around, right? So maybe the markets do decide to grind higher from here, but even if they don't, we want to find something that maybe we can make a little bit of money in until, again, there's a better setup out there, all right? And this is what we look like now overall. Hold on, I posted it here so you guys can see. All right, so this is from Goldman. All right, if you guys remember. And, you had this light blue, which measures momentum and the real short-term stuff, right? The dark blue is more of intermediate-term sentiment. Okay, so you're kind of stuck in neutral with everything right now, with everything. All right, so there's no edge at all on either side where we stand right now. Hedge funds, we were concerned about, right? They were buying the dip. We were worried about this getting up here, and that would be cause for concern. Why? Because they would be all in, and if there was a trigger to sell, there would be a lot of supply, right? So they've hit the pause button as well. That's a good sign. Okay, no bullish signal, but that's a good sign. This I found interesting too. I just wanted to share this guy with you. So this is the long short funds, right? And how they're positioned. And you can see a different look now. Remember, we spoke about a little about rotation going on and how that brought kind of the NASDAQ and these software plays and stay-at-home plays back in play, right? They went from really, really crowded to now everybody was rotating out of them and going into economically sensitive stuff, right? In a big way. You saw huge outflows of the QQQ ETF. You saw COT data, NASDAQ, futures short, right? While they were getting long S&P futures, kind of that pair trade thing. So this goes sector by sector, and you can see here, look, software, red hot software and stuff. All right? Not as bad. Software was here by itself and looked like the Empire State Building. Tech, hardware, a lot of the tech stuff, middle of the road now. So not as bad, not as crowded. And that leaves a little window to trade these things. All right. And the other thing too, right, that plays into this, and I don't mean to jump around, but these are a lot of different things we were talking about. Seasonality. Right. So we were entering a period of time where looks like this, right? This is an average, and that's best case scenario. I told you guys, I've been in Septembers that were nightmares. I knew people that would blow up a book every September, like clockwork, it felt like, right? So little by little, right, so we're right here, we're getting out of that danger zone. That doesn't mean that the market can't go down after that, right? But we avoid another one of those elements that, right, another one of the cons for stretching out on the long side in any big way. Okay, you still see it gets a little choppy here. This is usually where all the money is made, but this is a good time. We're getting into a good time to start looking to position and start looking at the signals that may cue up a potential move like that. All right, so time flies and we're getting through some of the scary times here. All right, so again, as a whole, you can see there's nothing really standing out. But right now we're kind of neutral-ish without much of an edge. All right. What I've been witnessing though, out of the flow, and a lot of you guys who are members know because I've been talking about it a lot, there's been almost a stock pickers theme out there. Okay. So what I mean by that is this. Sometimes we see sweeper activity. They come in these type of sentiment squeezes, these snapback rallies, and they hit all the big guys. Okay, so they'll come in and tattoo Microsoft, they'll tattoo AMD, they'll tattoo Apple, they'll tattoo Facebook, right? They tattoo all the big high beta names, okay? And there really isn't any stock picking going on. They're just playing for the squeeze, and they want to play those high beta names that are going to participate, okay? That's usually how these sentiment squeezes play out. This go around has been different. And the reason it's been different, the flow has come across as almost a stock picker's theme out there. In other words, there's not any rotation. They're not looking at any specific groups primarily. They're focusing on names selectively. All right, so examples, NEO. Okay, that's not a name that traditionally sweepers are going to go migrate to for snapback rallies or for whatever reason. Okay, that's usually maybe the second stage of flow. But names like NEO, an underbelly name like FOUR, F-O-U-R, right? Basically, as you guys know, my type of flow that very rarely shows up at this point in time. Okay, the flow I like, right? Like today, what do they do? The market's blah. If anybody's looking at the overall market, they think nothing's really going on. I mentioned to you guys don't know I don't talk numbers and all that stuff much, but as far as day trading is concerned, I had my best day in months today, months, and those of you who know my style probably know why. All these underbelly names that were catching sweeper activity that I'm going to play the equity in were just dancing all over the place today while the market wasn't doing a damn thing. So that's the type of That's the type of action that we're seeing right now. Was it mean? You know, who really knows? But what it could indicate to us over the short term at least, is that maybe they're anticipating this market being a little choppy, right? Not knowing who's going to be president, not knowing if we're even going to know who wins the election, not knowing any of that stuff. And instead they're focusing on selective opportunities out there, right? So like NEO, if there's sizzle in that story and you think you can make money in it over the short term, none of that stuff is really going to get in the way of it, right? And like today, they come in, they hit this name, which is tied to one of the hottest sectors out there. And you guys know we traded this name and made a nice hit in it short term this time. You guys remember this, LI, right? So they hit it very similar spot last go around. And a lot of us sold it within days here, and the thing exploded. All right, and we've been talking about this name since, because it hasn't done a thing and there hasn't been any flow. And today, out of all days, they came in, stock wasn't doing anything, and they hit it hard. They hit it hard. All right, and you know, hard enough to where even if you were, again, the options, I don't know how liquid they are. I can't help you there, you know. But for day trading purposes and the equity, you know, this is more than enough, right? This is more than enough. Like maybe if you're day trading the options, you want a lot more liquid names like a NEO that trades a lot, you know, and this is a huge winner. You know, NEO was up $2 today. I know it does it often and it kind of, you're spoiled by the name, but you're talking about an $18 piece of paper that was up $2 today. From open to close. Wasn't a gap up $1.80 and tacked on 20 cents. This thing from the open where it caught action all the way up to the close where it was still catching sweeper activity. This thing was a bullet today. You know, so this is good. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, we'll talk about this a little bit more as far as names are concerned. Even if the market is choppy, if you can take advantage of this type of activity, right? This is where I suggest you focus. This is where I'm going to focus. In other words, we're going to look to generate alpha in individual names that may not give two shits, excuse my French, what the market's doing or what lies ahead. You know, and the sweeper activity is a great gauge for this type of stock selection because, you know, it sticks out like a sore thumb, right? Tesla, you know, catches $1 million sweeps here, there, everywhere. You know, how much of an edge are you going to get out of Tesla, right? But when they come in and they start tattooing, you know, these type of names, especially when you see it early, there's a lot of momentum that can be generated off that. You know, so there are things to keep us busy while we allow this whole process to sort itself out. Okay, but what I'm seeing out of the flow is more of a stock selection process than an actual play on a particular rotation or sector or anything like that. Okay, and it's not just little names either, right? I mean, this was just today. Okay, when we had sentiment at a better spot, you know, we spoke about it. D-Dog, right? Caught some really nice action. That was a hell of a trade. Day trade, swing trade, Fastly, you could have traded this 18 times if you wanted to. Doesn't look like it went anywhere. This stock or sweeper activity was up $3-4 every time. You know, so there are things out there to keep us busy while the larger process plays itself out. Now, here's the other thing too that I wanted before I even forget. That's really interesting. What I'm realizing is not everything. There's some stuff that's actually breaking out to new highs, but again, I hate to keep using the word, very selectively. But what I'm seeing more of, right? This was another one. I owned it. I sold it. You know the story. A lot of you did the same. SE, these names, when they're getting close to busting out, when they're getting close to that spot, they're bumping their heads on there, right? And reversing and finding a little trouble. And that could be an indication that the market is not necessarily ready either. Because what would happen is if the market's ready for a nice leg higher, you would start to see these names one by one. Bink, there goes SE, right? Bink, there goes D-Dog. And they're usually, you know, a lot of these things end up being your new leaders, right? The first names to break out. Bink, there goes Fastly. And instead, when they get near Bink territory, they find a little trouble there. You know, and a lot of the retail players out there, especially in the option world, they're getting frustrated because they're playing for breakouts instead of playing what we're trying to do, right? The ranges in a sense. And, you know, they're frustrating both sides. They're looking to short Fastly, you're going to get run over and get your ass handed to you, right? You're looking to play the breakout in Fastly, we're going to frustrate the living daylights out of you. So it's a good thing too. It's a good thing, trust me, when they're frustrating both sides like that, because usually the longer they do that, it sets something pretty solid up when it's all said and done. All right, but have you guys noticed that? I mean, are there any names? You know, you have your handful of names that have done their thing. Like, right, we talked about Donkey Kong, DKNG. Right, it just, no matter what the market was doing, it just broke out, right, with the pen. But it was sector specific, right? It wasn't any other names participating with it. You know, you had your Zoom did its thing. Zoom is almost like in a land of its own. Yeah, SE is one of the first I noticed recently. Teledoc? Yeah, see, like, this is what I'm talking about. You get these things, right? And then without you even realizing, you know, they run the risk of rolling over. Where when the market's ready, you're going to see these things, you know, bust. You know, go bust out of this. And they may not be ready. The market may not be ready. These things are still breathing. You know, PACB, I saw that. That's a Kathy name. That's a biotech, right? Look at that move. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's been some nice biotech trades too. You know, I'm talking about even trades. I know some of you guys are gassed up a little more than just a trade, but you know, SRNE caught that nice action. You know, that was a nice winner. You know, so you got some biotech names. We saw that really good looking sweep. I don't know if any of you played it, TNDM. You know, maybe that's next to go. But anyway, you guys get the point I'm talking about, right? As far as trades are concerned, you know, this D-Dog, when you're like, I talk about the playbook for this specific climate, when you're in this climate, right, if D-Dog busts and goes, you spit on it and worry about the next name. Because, you know, the way I look at it, unless you really need to own D-Dog, you've been waiting for D-Dog, you've been waiting for flow, then what I suggest is when you buy it at the right spot or for pull, you know, leave a piece when you sell it, right? And roll, like we're saying. But the best way I've been accustomed to do it is trade these things, let them continue to chop around and frustrate people, and you're going to get these setups continuously. You know, continuously. But ultimately, the longer this takes, and we keep talking about that, the time behind it, the better. The longer this process takes, the better. Right? We spoke of that from the first week. You don't want this going right to new highs because everything that got flushed out here is coming right back. What do you think? They're going to stay on the sidelines long? They're not staying on the sidelines. You need players to get frustrated here. You know, at the least get frustrated here. But in the meantime, underneath the hood, there's some good-looking stuff out there, boy. I'll tell you, if we were seeing different things, like as far as, what we're hoping to see, that sweet spot set up out of this, where we get that sentiment over an intermediate term basis, put a floor in. There are names right now. I could rattle off 10 of them that I would own with some time. But the other thing too, again, something you realize as you wish for the grass is greener. Like, look, LI, right? They're buying LI aggressively today. What'd they buy? Octobers, right? They're not going out and tattooing Febs. They're hitting Octobers. You know what I mean? So no matter what, that's just a trade. No matter what you think, that's just a trade. You're not. These guys aren't sweeping LI Octobers to catch a $40 number out of this. It's just a trade. So what I mean is they're hitting short-term strikes in a lot of these things, and they're trades, and it suits the environment perfectly. We saw, if I'm not mistaken, Tree, I'm almost positive we saw a put seller in this name before, unless I just got a bad case of deja vu. We did. Yeah, so obviously somebody thinks that the lows are pretty much in. What it says about upside is a different story. That's the tricky part when there's not that call buying involved. You would like to see some call activity just to give you an idea of, what they may be looking for as far as upside. But a lot of these names, they just may think, listen, the floor is pretty much in. If we can sell some out of the money puts and take in some nice juice to lower our cost, we want the stock anyway, right? So that's the way they look at it, Tree. They say to themselves, I really wish I could have this spot back again in this ARMK. I really want that spot. So what they do, instead of waiting, sell puts, take in premium, and then you get put to stock, but your cost gets knocked down. You know what I mean? So that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing in a lot of things. Like we want dips, if you got to know what you're doing to do that, right? Because they're playing and they want to get put to stock. We, a lot of times, don't want to get put to stock. But it's a great strategy if you're looking to buy weakness and you're impatient, like a lot of us are. You sell puts and you don't mind getting the stock there. And a lot of big boys and girls do that. A lot of big boys and girls do that. They love to do that. It's a great strategy if you like to buy dips. All right. So the moral of the story is everything is beautiful, right? We shouldn't get out of our shoes. Don't get too excited about something we don't need to get too excited about, right? I know a lot of us and a lot of you guys looked at the COT data update over the weekend and saw the big spike in shorts in NASDAQ futures, but there's a but there. There's a but. And they're doing the opposite in S&P 500 futures. So it's not that clean. Maybe tech outperforms, right? We spoke about that. Maybe we could come to that conclusion, but it's not as clean as if they were, buying or staying pat in ES and loading up in NQ. Oh, there's debate. I don't even know it's almost like it's more entertainment than anything else. I'll put it this way. If there's weakness off the debate, we got to buy up that weakness. I'm hoping they're call sweepers into that weakness. Oh, they're drinking games all over the place based on orders, right? I saw that all over the place. Everyone's got a drinking game going on. That says two things. This country's full of alcoholics. That was my first takeaway. I mean, Jesus Christ. And, the second thing was, it was pretty funny. Listen, folks, or what's the other one he says? Not buddy, pal. There's one word he says constantly. No, Biden. Come on, man. That's it. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's it. You guys, that's hysterical. But yeah, so and we have a few balls in the air, right? The election. The thing about the election, if everything stands the way it's going right now, malarkey is another good one. People are preparing for a menagerie come the election. You know what I mean? People are waiting for a mess. People are preparing for a mess. You see it in the VIX, in the curve. You see it everywhere. And in all likeliness, we're going to see an uptick as we get closer to the election in hedging and protection. And that will be a great thing. A great thing. Because if they overdo it, and God forbid, the election goes clean. And again, I don't see it possible, but guys, I've seen a lot of things not possible be possible. And if the election does happen to go and come clean, you're going to have a lot of hedging that's going to need to be unwound. And that alone could be the catalyst for a leg higher. Yeah. So, if it continues, right? The problem is, you don't know, maybe Biden starts pulling away in the polls and people start taking off hedges. Or I'm giving an example, Trump pulling away and, Biden falls asleep at the mic and Trump gets a huge bump in the polls and he starts pulling away. You don't know what the hell can happen from here to then, obviously. But, so far, so good. Menagerie, I've been using that word for a while. One of my favorite words. But so far, everything is going according to the book. So far. We'll see if it plays out that way. We'll see if it plays out that way. So let's, you got 1,500 tonight on Biden falls asleep at the mic. You should give it, yeah. You need 15 to 1. That's not bad, actually, if that was true. You need bigger odds than that. He's not falling asleep. He's got to be on something to keep him awake. That's the last thing they want. What names you guys looking at? Adderall, right? That's the rumor. OSTK caught a little weekly sweep, Tim. Did you catch that? Yeah. Keep an eye on that little. It was small. I was hoping to catch another one because I know you guys like to play this name, but definitely keep an eye on it into tomorrow. Because, you got to look at this. And you don't need much. You're not looking for much, right? You're looking for a pop out of here for a trade. I'm sure that's what you're looking for. KNDI looks interesting, Sean. The only thing I don't like about it, I mentioned it earlier today, is the chatter. I hate chatter. If it didn't have chatter, I would like it even better because it's in that hot group. And, a lot of those things are catching fire. That's not to say it can't catch fire because these things are unconscious. That's the only thing I don't like about it is that there's chatter there. But yeah, they're finding names all over the place. And that's what this LI is. Isn't this LI in that group? Like, as far as I know this is a Chinese name, but supposedly this is a legit name, this LI. Now, again, that's what I hear. I don't know anything about it. But supposedly it's legit. Real numbers, that sort of thing. So take a peek. And again, IPOs, you guys know I like IPOs, especially if this was an American IPO. I bought stock, though. I've been buying stock. A lot of you have been asking me the last position I opened calls for a swing. And again, my swing, if I'm swinging something for a week or two or a couple of days, I never buy calls. I buy equity. So when I swing, it's usually with time. Is that ACM that looks good? Anybody in that? ACM? couple of us in the room are in it. Looks decent. You know, it's a slow mover, but it looks decent. You know, the calls are moving a little bit, up a buck, I think, last I looked. I'm not quite sure, the calls. December's, I don't know what you guys may be in. But anyway, it looks good. But that's the last thing I took. I bought calls, a new position for a swing. Everything else, I've been playing stock, and I've been buying, and I catch a quick move, I've been dumping. Bill, anybody play that? God, I wanted to swing calls in this so bad. You don't even understand. I wanted to swing calls so bad in this one. I couldn't get the chutzpah to do it. So I bought stock and rode it for a couple of days. Anybody buy those Febs? Nobody? Well, I can't blame you if you guys are. I thought a couple of you did, that's why. But yeah, this is a name I hope gets stuck in some consolidation here, and we get another opportunity at it, kind of like D-Dog. Yeah, Mike, without a doubt. That's why I'm asking. Otherwise, I would have bought it. You know, I think somebody I spoke to, though, they didn't play the Febs. They played off the Febs and bought, I think, Octobers, just for a trade. You know, but this was a nice move already. What other names you guys have? IPOB Tree. Where do you come up with these names? Where do you find them, though? Oh, my God. Jesus. It's a SPAC? Social Cap. Is this, what's his name? Oh, Shamath. Polyapatia. Yep. Kathy's buying Shamath Polyapatia? I didn't even realize that. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Look at that move. That's a little frothy for me, but these SPACs look like that because they haven't been trading long. The other one, I had it. I don't have it anymore. Reverse. Here's another name, okay? This was, I'm glad I thought of it. ADPT, right? Look like breaking, going through the niner. You know, this thing's been solid. It's been solid. But look, reversal into Pink Panther today. See? So people waiting for the breakout, bought the breakout, and they reversed on their ass. But meanwhile, look at this move here. Right? Look at that move from the floor. You guys see what I'm saying, right? About the floor? It's acting like a trampoline. Acting like a trampoline. Floor, another one. Octobers they hit, Sean. Octobers, so it's a trade. You know, I actually bought and sold it, and I still like it. I kept 2,000 shares just because I like it so much, even though they bought Octobers. You still in it? I don't blame you. IPO, I like this name a lot. Did you find, we spoke about this, right? Did you find any juice on it? I'm waiting to get gassed up from you here. Any juice? What do? It's got the symbol and the name for a beast. You know? Square, 4, you know, it just has the ticker. But yeah, this is whatchamacallit. Yeah, I sold, you're right. See? And Modu's got the right strategy there. I sold because I caught a nice move today, but I got 2,000 shares that I held. But look, all right, nice and quiet here. Looks good. You may just even get a spike up to here, and it may not even snowball into something bigger if the market's not ready. But this has got big winner written all over it. All the characteristics are there. Yeah, looks good. But even Sean, that's what I was kind of, my strategy initially is that maybe even it just chops around here a little bit and we can play it off dips too. But that's kind of what I'm hoping for, and it's usually the opposite that happens, as you know. But yeah, I like it. I like it. What other? If it wasn't after the close here, I can rattle off a gazillion names to you that I looked over the weekend that look so good, so good. There's just so many good ones. RKT, I like that name. Right? They do mortgages. I like that name. The action hasn't been impressive, the flow, but they did a little buying in December's. There was some call selling around it. They were writing out of the money calls. So maybe that weighs on it over the short term. I like this spot. If you want to play this perfectly, you wait for a short dated sweeps there, Jared. So if they come in and they start sweeping October's, that means they're ready for it. Which one, Tim? This one, RKT? Yeah. So Tim is saying he likes the technical setup. I love, I love that for a pop even. But that's, Jared, like for me, for a short-term swing type play, I would wait for short-dated sweeps. I would get in the middle of that, and hopefully you got a little bit of cushion to, look for a little bit of follow-through on it. But it looks interesting. And supposedly, I don't know, they had numbers, and then it took a turn for the worse. But supposedly this is another real name, right? Legit name, RKT. Dr. Fauci caught a couple sweeps today, paging Dr. Fauci. I wish I had more Ki-Hoons. I wish I had the coconuts to play biotech aggressively. But see, like the equity, I can't do that. I can't play the equity like I do with everything else in biotech. I have one whammy and I'll be talking to myself, It's not worth it. Yeah, they're made for options. But you know what the problem is with options sometimes? If it's around a binary event, the IV's junked up to wazoo, right? They're all juiced up. And you're paying out the ass for them, the calls. So, they get tricky sometimes, but that sector was made for buying calls and puts, obviously, but put in what you're willing to risk. And there's some big winners, as you guys know. There's some big winners out there in biotech. This mRNA was one of them. I mean, come on. We were seeing sweeps here, guys. Here. You happen to nail it right with a couple months time to let her go, could set you up nicely. You get a little lucky. I told you, I worked with a guy, I seen him blow up off biotech right in front of my eyes. He was the son of a surgeon, and he had all his father's friends as clients. And his father's friends would call him up and give him a hot biotech. And what he would do is every single day, he just build positions in the equity in these biotechs every day. He would call up the doctor who introduced the stock to him, and he would ask him for more money to buy the same stock that he recommended to him. And he would just, all day was his mission to build piles of these they were all tiny biotechs, guys. The most expensive one was probably like $3. Okay? Make a long story short, they did nothing for 2 years, nothing. People would make fun of him. Oh, give me your book. I'll generate 300 grand a month commission. People used to, wisecrack at him and abuse him because like it was a waste of all the money he had under management. All he had to do was trade blue chips during the tech boom and he would make money, right? Then March of 2000 rolled around. You have no idea. You have no idea what happened. These 30, 40 cents, 50 cents going to 50, 60, 70 bucks a share in weeks. Right at the end of the tech boom, biotech had the sickest run I've seen to this day of my career. I've never seen anything like it. I remember one stock he had, Nerex. His average cost was $2.75 and went to 75 in 2 days. 2 days. So all that, he was loading up and loading up and loading, and then all that abuse he took, 1 month, he had a multi-million-dollar month, and he was set for the rest of his life. Nuts, right? That's a great story, though. Great story. And we all saw it right in front of us. Happened right in front of us. He had the conviction. Yeah, he took profit. It wasn't even a question. That's what he was waiting for. He took profit. It's funny because if he didn't, a lot of those stocks went not only back to where they started, obviously to zero. Like Nerex, I don't even think it's around anymore. Oxygen was one. Is it still around? No. So many, just so many positions. They all went. Every single one of them went. There wasn't one loser. Think about that for a second. Not one loser. Not one loser. That's how sick the biotech move was in 2000. Go back and look at it. You won't believe it. If you can find it somehow, I don't know if you can find it with IBB. Was that around then? I don't remember. Let me see. I'm just curious. No, IBB wasn't around. What the hell ETF? I don't know what I would look at. But anyway, XBI, that wasn't around then, I don't think. Was it? Nah. I don't know how you would look at it, but crazy moves. Like it makes like Zoom, look like a joke. This is nuts, this move in Zoom. But think about, doing it in a couple days, in a week. This is sick though. Zoom is sick. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know. I'm not sure if there were ETFs at all. For Christ's sake, we're old men. Jesus Christ. But anyway, classic story. Guy was set and made for the rest of his life. Had the conviction, got lucky, cashed the ticket. So go ahead, rattle off a couple more names before we wrap it up and call it a day. AYX. I know Kathy's buying it. I think she dumped a little, but it looks interesting here. It definitely looks interesting here. I would love to see flow in it. Obviously you got a floor here, right? You had this niner, really no reaction. It still just went sideways. It's got a nice look. And we've seen them hit this hard before, right? They've hit this name hard before. Had a nice run. So hopefully we see some flow. Especially as we get closer to where we can start at least putting some names away. Yeah, Qualcomm's just been on fire. And what I think is going on, I think this QCOM is becoming just a pure 5G play. And, you want a blue chip name, 5G, Qualcomm is the name right. Like Marvel is the other one, but Marvel, a lot of people aren't going to think of. Like QCOM is the name, the big name that comes to mind, Tree. You know what I mean? And I think now it's catching hype behind that. Like Bova was talking about the stock. Everybody's talking about it, being a 5G monster. Like if you want to make a play on 5G. So the flow, the flow's been hot, as you guys know, especially of late. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like a lot of these names, if it can get out of here You know, it's going to be interesting to see if he could get out of here without the market being ready. You know, maybe that changes. Yeah, TSM caught a little bit of buying today. You know, they buy dips in this name all the time. But, you know, same thing. It's in this, right? So you could still trade it, as you can see. Every dip, they buy it. Every dip gets bought, and you can trade it. You know, even if you're early, right? Let's say you bought here. You were early. You had a day of pain. You still have a shot to make money in it. But you want to try to stay close to that floor so you don't get caught up in this, right? Here's another example. If you went to chase that, like I remember we were talking about it, we're like, wow, TSM is going to break out already? And nope. Oh, Micron is weak. So yeah, that may weigh on them. You know, semis have been choppy. Most of them. Micron, what is it, guidance? 49. Oh, that's not too bad. Where is that? Right here? That's not bad. The rat bastard. It is a bastard. Micron's a bastard. There's no doubt about it. It's right in this thing still. It's a tough stock. Yeah, a lot of hands involved in Micron. You know, it's widely held, a lot of hands. But anyway, the semis, you know, they look good. You just got to really stick to buying dips there because they could hurt you. They're really choppy, and Trump playing the China card, you never know. Yeah. Or even your strategy, Ranchero, you know, you buy pullbacks, you write some calls, short-dated stuff, right? You buy with some time because I think ultimately, I think this Micron ended up being a decent winner. It's the timing that sucks. But there's trades. If you're going to trade, there are easier things to trade. Micron's a toughie. It's a tough one. And VTA is a monster. That's another one I played a little equity in, and I sold it so quick. And it hasn't had a down day since, NVTA. Ranchero, you remember this name, right? You're still incoming? Come on. From then? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Good for you. Yeah, this is a monster in the making, NVTA. Monster in the making. Pins. I like pins. I like pins a lot. A lot of flow in that pins too. You know, pins busted out, right? You got like some of these stay-at-home Peloton. What about Peloton? Do you believe this thing? Can you believe this thing? Honestly, like this is probably my favorite stock of the crash, this Peloton. All the flow off every dip was a beautiful thing, this thing to trade. You had it at the IPO. You know, this move here just was money off every sweep. It was like gold. And look at it now, though. Look at this. Do you remember what went on with this Peloton? You had people abusing it like it was 1999 all over again. Here we go. Exercise bikes on the internet. Like people were abusing it. They came out with that commercial, remember? And they destroyed it because the guy bought her a bicycle to work out. Remember? This thing got abused. And now look who's laughing now. Look who's laughing now. Yeah, exactly. That thing, it blew up, that commercial. Blew up. But yeah, oh no, I'm saying one of my favorite stocks, W. I didn't even trade W. I didn't even trade W once, unfortunately. But yeah, W's got to be the stock of this rally. Incredible move. Incredible. NLS, that's the Peloton Junior, right? That continues to push higher. That's a good play. You still in that NLS? Who mentioned that? Jim, are you in NLS? I know a couple of people on private Twitter were in and out. I wonder if they're still in this thing. Nice, Jim. Peloton Junior. Look at that go. Slower, obviously. I'm still in plan. I sold some of my Jans. Was that yesterday or the day before yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Into the update was yesterday, and whatever. I think it was yesterday. Anyway, I have more to sell, but yeah, I still have plan. I still have plan. I've been trying to milk it as much as possible because ultimately I want to roll a piece and just leave that alone. But I'm not there yet. I got a little more to sell. Right. You can't milk anything without nipples. You're right. You're right. Or with nipples. How's the saying go? I sold my Novembers, Mike. That I sold into the gap up initially. And I've been trying to hang around in the Jans. Yeah, and the only thing new is the ACM. So I got bullets to fire, man. I got bullets to fire. I raised a lot of cash, just in case this correction was going to get any worse, and maybe it does, but so far it looks harmless. There might be one more whoosh. What do you guys think? What do you think, Tim? Lows are in? Yeah. The only thing I could base it off of is sentiment and sweeper activity. Sentiment is not there for a floor. It's not there. I wish I could lie and say it was. It's not. And the sweeper activity, I told you guys, it's more of a stock picker feel. And what may happen, even if there is some more weakness, you may have names, like, in other words, not everything participates in the weakness. I wouldn't mind it either, Tree. I wouldn't mind it. No matter what, though, and I know it sounds like a broken record, we want time. You know what I mean? We want this to take some time. We don't want this, to go, even though it's not as bad here, if it went to new highs, we have a little bit of room, but we don't want it. Now that we got the pull, we want this thing to linger a little bit. We want it to linger. And ideally, you get the rest of sentiment to set up at a low, and that's where we can really make a dent on the next rally. We can really make a dent. Yeah, right? So quick. So quick. There was a lot of heat. You guys saw all those Goldman Sachs things I was posting. A lot of heat in the option market was all in weekly and bi-weeklies. 2 weeks out, the degenerates. So there wasn't much conviction. But they still think they can buy the dip. There's still names with momentum where if they get hit over the head one more time, and if you get a little uprising in this COVID, you might scare the poop out of them. Yeah, this COVID thing is, they're not going to shut down the economy. They're not going to shut it down again unless, you would need Armageddon to shut down this economy like they did. But if you get this thing flare up again in the winter, yeah, Biden says he would, right, Amy? I don't know. This thing is, this virus is tricky. But here's the thing. Let's say this virus does heat up in the winter, like people think it is, right? There's gonna be some sort of uptick in this virus going into the winter, right? People are gonna think they have the flu, they have corona. No one's gonna know what the hell's going on. But what happens to all the hot names? You know what I mean? Like all those hot names, they thrive in that. Yeah. Me personally, I'm kind of on Kathy's page. I think these aren't virus plays anymore. This is a new economy. This crash, like what happens in crashes, okay, you get a major shift in leadership, you know? And I think it's all these names that we're seeing. Yeah, every time, you know, and here you had, it was pretty obvious. This virus really, you know, changed things. But it's not, you know, it's not going to go back. It's not like it's going to go back. Exactly. That was it. It was slowly going to happen anyway. This virus stepped on the gas, Charlie, you know, and that's an understatement. That's an understatement. And I think that's what's been going on, the problem with some of these rotation plays, you know, because where these names, a lot of these rotation names were, and you're talking about blue chip names, we should have saw a major rotation a long time ago, and we didn't. They're picking spots. What's gonna survive? That's what they got to bet on. You know, what is going to survive this shift? Names are going to have to make adjustments. Not everyone's going to survive, right? Retail, it's a whole new retail sector. So, you know, it's a whole different game out there. And that's why I think, you know, virus or no virus, this could very easily be the start of a whole new bull market. I know you bears don't want to hear it. And there's just new leadership. That'll be the day. Gilead. Can you imagine? Like, this was the test for Gilead. Like, if Gilead couldn't rally and put together an uptrend out of COVID and having the big drug at the time, then that's it. This thing is as useless as they come. The Widowmaker. That's why it's got that name. Look at this. Look at this chart. Look at this. And I don't know if you guys remember. This was the most loved stock on Wall Street, stock twits, you name it. Gilead, just buy Gilead. Just buy the dip in Gilead. People love this thing. Love this thing. And, you know, it's paying the price now, as you can see. Look at this from 2016. Forget about even the crash here. Just look even from where it bottomed. Ugh. You know, and a lot of rotation names look like that. But you see, there's some rotation names that look good. Like, look at Deere, right? Caterpillar. Some of these things look okay. Look at this. You probably didn't even believe where Tractor Supply is, have you? Did you know Tractor Supply was up here? So they're finding TTC. What's TTC? How come I don't know that name? Oh, Toro, I know that name. So they're finding names that are going to hang around and survive. How do you think the pending stimulus will clearly play into the home market? Honestly, the stimulus, I think, if it happens, you'll get a bump. I don't think, George, for the market, I don't think it matters. I'm being honest with you. I don't think it matters. I think the Fed, it's all about the Fed. For the market, for the regular guy out there, this stimulus should have been done weeks ago, right? It makes no sense that they haven't done anything. But I'm talking about for the market, I don't think the stimulus really matters. I mean, I think you have a Fed here that has gone all in and probably needs to do more. And I think what's going to happen is next year, you're going to see the effects of it. And that could be big things for stocks and could be, you know, ultimately the bubble that bursts things, you know? You know, because you may get things that get severely overheated and the Fed's going to have to adjust their policy. And that's where stocks run into trouble. Not when the Fed's firing the bazooka, right? Not when the Fed's firing the bazooka. It's when the Fed's got to take back the bullets. mRNA vaccine news. Yeah, somebody told me there was a pop there. What was the sweep in that thing? Let me see. It wasn't anything big, but there was a sweep. I'm just curious. Let's see. Anybody take a shot or let's see. There were two of them here. Weeklies. Oh, they was probably playing that. 75s? Jesus. Where's the stock? Oh, weekly 73 and 75s. It got up to 75. Damn. Yeah, that has to be what they were playing. That has to be what they were playing. Doku, no. But, you know, I mean, you don't even, honestly, you don't even need to see flow in it to like it. But Tree, it's a question of how long it hangs around here. You know, if you see names, Tree, if you see names that are in this group starting to pop like popcorn, you know what I mean? You don't even have to wait for Doku action. Just buy it. Just buy it. You know, Doku's a leader. Doku's a beast. You know, it's had a sick run, but it's a beast. Like, I like ZS. That's like you like Zoku. I like Doku. I like ZS. But I can't even get my hands on this freaking thing. The Z-scaler, you got some big houses that still think this thing has big upside from here. Somebody was talking about a double from here. God, I'm going to reminisce again. I remember back here that Drunken Miller sweep. I didn't even know what the hell they were. Amazon, yeah, Prime Day, right? And you got Baba too. Doesn't Baba have a day coming up here? What's Baba have? Oh, an Investor Day. So a couple things going on. Singles Day is not yet, is it? Yeah, that's November. No, I think, hold on. There's something coming up, Baba, this week. I'm almost positive. Oh, maybe an IPO. Maybe that's what I read. You're right, probably, Samir. There was something that was an event there. Not an IPO. All right, guys. So that's the playbook. Stays the same, but there's some decent opportunities under the hood. You know what I mean? We don't have to be as patient waiting for sentiment to set up. And, you know, those of you who are members, you see the sweeper activity right in front of your eyes. If we come in the morning and they're sweeping puts, there's no reason to just jump in and buy stuff. You know, that's telling us the momentum's south. But if you start seeing like today, as the market's going down, they're bombing stuff out there. You know, you look for individual names and try to make some money while it sets up. That's all. Yep, my pleasure, guys. Always enjoy speaking to you guys. Good luck the rest of the week. Enjoy the debate. Have fun.